Hello and welcome again to Silver Gold TV, your one place for all silver and gold related news. Guys, you might be wondering why there's a chessboard on here instead of my beautiful silver coins, or what we like to see and love. They're still here, don't worry about that. But I do got something to say, and it is silver related. But more than that, it has to do with everything that's going on. I'm sure you probably guys realized by now, or heard, or seen, or seen some articles. They're trying to start ramping up this situation of the potential second wave of the beer bug. That's right. That's what they're saying, and numbers have increased, and you know the situation. You could look into it yourself. So today, I got a question for all of you. In the game of chess, what is the most important piece? Some people would say it's the pawn, and there's reasons for that, because that's your front line. But in the life we're living in right now, with all these companies letting us know that the pawns, or the frontliners, the heroes, the essential, not the dispensable, but the essential, are out there, putting our situations, putting ourselves up, setting ourselves up to be successful, do the right thing, and do what we have to do for our beautiful country. But they're telling us that that's a lot of companies are not giving us the opportunity or the respect, or they're even going against their own employees when it comes to, they want to charge them for the money that, you guys got to look into it. Let's just say Kroger. That's all I'm saying on that topic. You guys could look into that. It's pretty bizarre. We're living in a crazy world. Other people say that the important piece is the king, and it's understandable, because the king is the guy that gets captured and you lose the game. Other people will go beyond the board and say the most important piece to play the game is the players. And I'll go even beyond that and express with that the situation that I feel we're all living in right now, and say the most important piece is the board. That's right, because we all have rules. If you're a working class member of society, you have your rules. If you belong to a higher up class of society, you have your rules. Everyone has their rules. There's ruling classes through government and social standing. Either they have power over people, sometimes economically, sometimes religiously, and sometimes just politically. So there's standings on everything, but there's rules to the game, and the rules to the game, we all believe we know the rules to the game. But apparently they have decided to change the board itself. So even if you play by the rules you once knew, you ain't getting nowhere, because the board is different. It's a different game. They changed the board. What I mean by they changed the board, we are no longer living in what a capitalism should potentially be. We are living in a world where the government's deciding to bail out corporations, where there's talk about giving corporations liability protections when it comes to our health if we end up getting the beer bug while we work in an unsafe environment. Just let that process through your head a little bit. That's right, there's talks about that, and you gotta realize that sooner or later this ain't gonna end right. So I'm here to explain a couple of things. I'm here to explain why silver is important. Silver is important in an inflationary type situation. Inflation is when, if you never heard of the term, is when your purchasing power of your dollar is no longer the same. For example, one example would be like gas prices. 50, 60 years ago, gas would be like around cents, 10, 20, 30 cents a gallon. Nowadays, even with the lowering of the price, we're still looking at it's now $3 a gallon. So your dollar has lost purchasing power. On the other hand, silver and all precious metals, silver, gold, they do not lose purchasing power. They maintain their purchasing power. So it's a protection against inflation. So basically, at the grocery store, we've seen anywhere from 10 to 20, and I heard in some places up to 30% jump in meat products pricing. That's considered inflation. Some people may argue that it's because of supply and demand. Well, I agree with that, but supply and demand is a part of inflation. I mean, if you want to go and look at the term of inflation, it's not plain and straightforward. It engulfs a lot in it. It's just not, supply and demand, and that's why, inflation is a thing. You should look into that. Also, you may be surprised when I say this, but there's also a reason to stack fiat. That's right, fiat, cash. And there's an art to it as well, my friends. Just like we stack silver by ounces, by purity, because it's going to retain its value against inflation. What if inflation doesn't happen? What if we reach a point of deflation? What if instead of an inflational scenario where we have silver to protect ourselves, we end up going into a deflationary scenario? A deflationary scenario would be like the 2008 market housing bubble or recession, whatever they're calling it now. They're changing the name on that all the time, probably to throw people off so that people do not know what to actually go back and study or learn, or it's just the way the game is manipulated. So for that, I say you have to also stack cash. You have to stack cash. If we stack silver to protect ourselves, against inflation, then we must stack cash to protect ourselves against deflation. Deflation is when like, let's say you have a house right now, right? Let's say like the 2008 mortgage crisis or financial recession, and again, whatever they choose to call it. They said that during that time, people lost the value of their houses. Houses that were worth $200,000-$300,000 suddenly became worth $150,000, $200,000. So they lost home equity. If you don't know what home equity is, I'll try to explain it real quick. Home equity is the value of your house in respect to how much you still owe in it. For example, if you bought it at $200,000, you're paying it down. Now you owe $170,000, but your home value decided to go up by $250,000. Then your home equity would be $80,000. But that would be in the perfect economy, in the perfect situation where everything's going fine. There's no beer bug. There's nothing going on late at night in the streets. There's no tension. There's no tension and everything's fine and dandy. But that's not the world we're living in anymore. We're living in a world that we have so many things going on at the same time that if you're not ready and you're not prepared, it's gonna hit you hard. And we have to go beyond our potential bias of saying silver is king, gold is king. No, man, we don't know what's gonna happen. And if you believe that you know what's gonna happen, then what happens if you're wrong? And there's an art to stacking cash as well, my friends. I got right now, I'm looking at 10 grand right here, and you guys are probably wondering, why does he have 10 grand in cash? You just trying to show it off? No, I'm trying to make a point. 10 grand in cash. I got hundreds, 50s, 20s, and I will soon add 10s, 5s, and probably not 1s. That denomination is a little small. But why do I have 50s and 20s? There's an art to stacking fiat as well. And there's a reason to stack fiat. Let's say instead of an inflationary situation, they decide to stop helping the stock market, they decide to stop printing the money, they decide to just let it all collapse. Once enough of us down here decide to put our money in the stock market because of fear of missing out, because the stock market keeps going up and up and up and up, once we put this money into their stock market, that's when they might pull the plug. And when they pull the plug, they start feeding money into the economy through the stock market, then that's when deflation happens. They could let houses drop in value once again. It's all staged. It's just what it is. It's how it works. So let's say right now your house is worth, you bought it at $200,000, maybe a couple of years ago, hopefully. And right now it's probably $250,000 worth of value. But if deflation happens and your house drops to 100, you don't have any idea how many houses will be in foreclosure? You have any idea what the statistics are saying when it comes to people that are not paying their mortgages, that are on forbearance, that are dealing with all of that right now? There is a possibility that there will be so many houses in the market around the same time that they will not be able to sell them. And if they're not being able to sell them, that's when you need the cash. That's when you need the cash. Because you need to be ready to step into those foreclosures. You need to be ready to step into those mortgages and say, I'm taking over the mortgage. I'm taking over the foreclosure. I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to buy that car. That $10,000 car, now it's maybe $2,000 because the guy's desperate and needs some cash. That $200,000 house that would have sold for $250,000 6 months ago, now it's worth $100,000 because they cannot find it. It'll be a lot easier to get to the 10 or 20% down if you have the cash in hand. Also, you may be wondering why it's in hand and not in bank. There's a reason for that too. The reason why we have it in cash and not in bank is you got to look into the law called the Bail-in laws. Bail-in laws were made after the 2008 financial crisis. After the 2008 financial crisis that we experienced and the banks got bailed out by the federal government, they had to lobby. The banks had to lobby because we had an outcry. We had a lot of people saying that was unjust, that we shouldn't have given them our money. And I thought that was great. Problem is, they lobbied and now they have passed laws where they could physically take your money that they have in the bank. Your money, let's say I have these $10,000 deposited in the bank. The bank, if the bank is in financial need or financial crisis or is in need of cash to do what it has to do to run as a bank properly, before it is declared bankrupt, before it is declared obsolete, it has the legal authority to take your deposits. I bet a lot of you out there have not even heard of that. I bet a lot of you out there don't even know of that. That is why I have cash in hand. Just the same way as I have silver and gold in hand, that is why I have cash in hand. If you have cash in hand, the bank can't take this away from me. Yeah, the federal government can keep printing, but the bank cannot take this away from me. It is in hand. It is in my possession. And to that, I get responses like, well, aren't you afraid of getting robbed? Don't you want to get your 0.05% interest rate a year by having a savings account? I ain't worried about that, trust me. So that's the importance of stacking silver, gold, in case inflation happens. The reasons to stack cash is in case deflation happens. The reason why it's not all in hundreds and you want lower denominations is you want to be able to break anything down and have change. Because in the worst case scenario that, the lights go out, what's going to happen? You can't use your debit card. Let's say your bank got hacked by Russian hackers. I mean, isn't that what we hear all the time? If your bank gets hacked by Russian hackers, then they shut down the online banking they close down their ATMs, and guess what? Your money's gone. You cannot access your money. And if you cannot use your debit card, or you cannot use your credit card, and you can't access your money, then you might go hungry until they fix the problem. And once they fix the problem, they may decide that that's when they want to do their bail-ins. So at that point, you're looking at a situation where you no longer have what you once had. All right, that's that. And now, the other reason people say don't do this is security. For security, I say, we live in the US of A, and we have a Second Amendment right. So I say, to protect yourself, to keep your assets protected, you need to stack silver, gold against inflation. You need to stack cash and fiat against deflation. And you want to stack ammo, my friends. Ammo. To protect your possessions. There's no reason why you wouldn't stack ammo if you want to protect your silver, your gold, your cash. The bank is not going to protect your cash. The government's not going to protect the value of your dollar. So to protect your money, to grow yourself and be successful, you have to be willing to do everything that is here. It may sound crazy. It may sound difficult. But trust me, I just recently went through a pretty bad situation. I lost like a major portion of my income. But if you stick to it and you use your 10% rule of no matter what your income is, set aside 10% of every check, of every money that comes your way. You set aside 10%. Give yourself, pay yourself. Eventually, I was able, even with my current income going down because of the beer bug, be able to stack silver. I was able to stack more silver. I was able to stack this cash, and I was able to buy myself some boxes of ammo. Not only do I got the ammo, but also when you buy ammo, you need to buy something to use the ammo with. In my opinion, I would use a ZZ. A ZZ gun is very effective, very reliable. It's what you need when it comes to home defense. It's what you need when it comes to protecting the ones you love. It's what you need when it comes to protecting your assets. Why do I say a ZZ? I would suggest getting a ZZ, at least a ZZ or better quality gun, because these are very reliable. They are beautiful and they are reliable. They're not gonna jam on you. By reliable, I mean they're not likely gonna jam on you. If you buy a cheap gun and you've never been a gun advocate, especially nowadays with all the beer bug going on, we have a lot of people that bought guns. It's not loaded, by the way, so don't worry about anything. There's a lot of people that bought guns and have no idea how to use them. There's a lot of people that bought this and they don't know what they're doing with it. So I suggest that you buy a very high quality weapon. If you buy a high quality weapon, you have nothing to worry about. You will not worry about it jamming. You will not worry about it doing anything it's not supposed to do. If you buy a good quality gun, you're not worried about anything that you have doubts on. Like, let's say you decide to go to YouTube, for instance, and Google ZZ cleaning or CZ usage or security or just a review on it. You'll find hundreds of reviews on this specific model. On the other hand, if you go and you get a weapon that doesn't have as many reviews, or is not as popular, or is cheaper but it's off-brand, you may or may not find yourself in a situation where you could find the information that you need. Also, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, you want to have a 9mm caliber because it is the cheapest, it is the most accessible, you are likely to find it everywhere. And the amazing thing about it is when you have a 9mm gun, you can find ammo anywhere. I have friends that bought their first guns because of all the situations that we're living in, and they've never owned. So they were told by people that, oh, you need to get a 45 cal or get the cop gun or get the big stuff, you know. Well, I'll tell you what, most of my friends, they were able to buy a limit of 1 ammo case of like 25 rounds or tops 2. That's 50 bullets. And if they decided to go to a range to try to test out the gun, to see how it operates, to see how it feels, they're out of ammo. And guess what? They can't find ammo. The ammo is more expensive. The ammo is harder to get. So when you have a 9mm, it's the most generic ammo out there. And you have very high quality guns like a ZZ or better. I mean, there's better quality guns, but I would not settle for anything less than a ZZ. A ZZ is what you want as a starter gun, at the very least. And it's cheap ammo, so you'll be able to go to a shooting range, use it, enjoy it, have fun with it. It becomes a second part of you. It is great, it is fun, and it is the best security that you could have when it comes to everything that's going on. Recently, not too long ago, and I won't say any specific dates, we had one of the riots happen near where I live. And believe you me, if I didn't have this, I would have been a lot more afraid. Because we don't know what happens. And when in situations where things happen, you have no idea what's gonna happen. When shit hits the fan, it hits it hard. So you gotta protect your wealth. You gotta protect your wealth purchasing power, which is gold and silver. You gotta protect your fiat, which is the paper money that is paper money, and you need to protect it in case a deflationary situation happens. You need to protect it with a nice, good quality weapon. Again, you need a good quality weapon. The last thing you want is to have to defend yourself and it jams on the first bullet, and guess what? It just becomes, you know, something to hit someone with at that point, because it's pointless. Some jams could be really bad. It's not like the movies where you could just cock it and it's good to go. No, I mean, a jam could go to be really bad to a point that you have to disarm it. And if you don't know how to disarm it, and it's a low quality gun, and there's not enough YouTubers doing reviews on the gun, then how are you gonna learn how to, you know, open it up and clean it up if you have no idea and you never owned the gun yourself? So guys, I know this may have been a long video, and I believe you me, it's just I was gonna try to stay away from everything, but it's hard to stay away from everything when everything just keeps coming at you, and it just doesn't stop. So that's my advice to people. Again, that's my opinion. This is what I'm doing. I'm showing you what I'm doing. I sleep soundly at night knowing that my wealth in silver and gold is protected against overprinting of the Fed. I sleep well at night knowing my cash is protected in my home, in my hands, in my possession, and the bank won't make it disappear through bail-in laws. I sleep well at night knowing that it's up to me to protect my wealth purchasing power. It's up to me to protect my fiat devaluation protection hedge. It's up to me to help myself and my family get ahead, or at least survive, because we have no idea what's yet to come. I really hope this wasn't a video that's gonna try to depress anybody. I really hope that this video was informative enough, or at least made you think a little bit more outside the box. Because the last thing you want is to have this and need this, or have this and need this, or have this and not have this and let this be taken. So my friends, I think you gotta have, I think in my opinion, this is what I do. You need a little bit of everything. So that's my opinion. That's what I got to say about what's going on. As you see, I did not touch on the topic of what's going on, what's right, what's wrong. I frankly don't really, it's not that I don't care, but when it comes down to it, on a very personal and individual level, it's up to me. It's up to me and myself to protect me and myself. That's all I have to say. And it comes down to it, everything else that goes on outside, it's just more that I have to protect myself against. And that's just what the way I feel situations are nowadays. So keep it up, guys. Again, this is Silver Gold TV coming at you with a very informative video, probably a lot more than you were expecting. And I hope it wasn't too much for you. I hope it wasn't depressing. On the flip side of that, I'm really hoping that it opened your mind, think outside the box, to help you know what's going on. I touch on very important topics very briefly, like inflation, deflation, and protection. So guys, I'm coming at you with all this information. Thanks for sharing my videos. Thanks for giving me them likes, giving me them subscribes. I'll be coming at you with more of this. I appreciate your support. Thank you.